Welcome back to CIA Declassified. As we move through 2026, we often think of surveillance as something that happens in the air. Satellites, drones, and signals traveling through the ether. But some of the agency's most profound work happens beneath our feet. During the height of the Cold War and into the modern era, the agency realized that while an enemy can shield a room from radio waves, they cannot stop the laws of physics. Every motor that turns, every footstep that falls, and every ventilation fan that spins sends a vibration through the bedrock. Today, we look at the sensors that turned the planet's crust into a giant recording device. Imagine a system designed to turn the entire planet into a giant stethoscope. By placing ultra-sensitive sensors in deep boreholes and caves, the agency learned to read the activities of hidden bunkers from miles away. This was the Subterranean-Seismic-Invention, known as QRCAVE. How did this operation get its name? The cryptonym QRCAVE utilizes the agency's QR diagraph. In the CIA's internal filing system, the QR prefix was historically assigned to the Office of Signals Intelligence Operations and Technical Collection Programs, specifically involving environmental or physical sensors. The suffix cave was a reference to the natural acoustic chambers the agency used to house their equipment. By placing sensors deep within natural cavern systems, they could shield the delicate instruments from surface noise, like wind or traffic, allowing them to focus exclusively on the deep, low-frequency vibrations of man-made underground structures. QRCAVE turned the Earth's crust into a data stream. The operation was pioneered during the efforts to monitor Soviet underground nuclear testing and command centers in the Ural Mountains. A quote from a declassified 1974 technical memo: "Seismic monitoring provides a window into hardened facilities that are otherwise impenetrable to overhead photography or traditional signal intercepts." End quote. QRCAVE utilized borehole seismometers, sensors lowered hundreds of feet into the earth to reach the acoustically quiet layers of the crust. The agency utilized acoustic signature matching, a process where they recorded the specific vibration of a known generator and used it to identify similar equipment in hidden foreign bunkers. A quote from a redacted former officer of ELINT: "We could tell when they were moving heavy equipment, when the elevators were running, and even how many people were in the mess hall based on the rhythmic floor loading." End quote. Records indicate that QRCAVE monitored the vibration profiles of North Korean underground facilities to determine the depth and thickness of their concrete reinforcement. The project utilized seismic triangulation using 3 or more distant cave sensors to pinpoint the exact location of a secret digging operation. Logs confirm that the agency developed liquid suspension mounts to keep their sensors perfectly level even during minor natural earthquakes. QRCAVE worked in conjunction with gravimetric sensors to detect the hollow spaces, the voids, inside mountains where bunkers were being constructed. Internal memos describe the rock conduction protocol, treating the Earth's geology as a giant copper wire for low-frequency sound waves. Technical logs confirm the use of fiber optic seismic sensors, which could detect vibrations as small as a single micron of movement. Documentation reveals that QRCAVE assets were often placed in the basements of embassies or safe houses under the guise of geological survey equipment. The operation utilized pattern recognition software in the 1980s to separate the sound of a passing train from the sound of an underground centrifuge. Reports describe the echo pulse, where the agency would set off a small controlled surface explosion to see how the sound bounced off a hidden underground facility. The program developed a sub-hertz monitoring, focusing on frequencies so low they are felt as pressure rather than heard as sound. Records show that QRCAVE sensors were disguised as weather stations in remote mountain passes. Agency researchers identified that deep bedrock coupling allowed a sensor in Turkey to hear industrial activity deep inside the Soviet Union. The operation successfully identified the operating tempo of secret facilities by tracking the rise and fall of electrical hums transmitted through the ground. Internal CIA memos confirm that QRCAVE was used to monitor the construction of Project O2, a massive Chinese underground complex. The project utilized laser interferometry to measure the minute swelling of a mountain when internal pressure or heat increased. Documentation proves that the agency utilized infrasound arrays on the surface to complement the seismic data gathered by QRCAVE. Logs mention the use of seismic tags, small vibrating devices planted near a facility, to verify the accuracy of the distant cave sensors. The program influenced the design of current nuclear test ban treaty monitoring stations. Records indicate that QRCAVE was a primary tool for mapping the Tora Bora cave complexes during the early 2000s. Technical logs describe the subterranean fingerprint, a unique seismic ID for every major underground command center on the planet. The agency maintained a seismic library of industrial sounds to help analysts identify what was happening inside a closed bunker. A quote from a declassified 1992 budget review: QRCAVE remains our most cost-effective method for monitoring high-security underground zones where human access is impossible. End quote. Documentation shows that QRCAVE technicians often lived in off-grid outposts for months to maintain the delicate sensor arrays. The project developed nuclear battery power sources to allow sensors to operate for decades without maintenance. Logs confirm that the agency used superconducting quantum interference devices, SQUIDs, to measure magnetic changes caused by underground machinery. The program proved that the acoustic shadow created by mountains could be bypassed by using the resonance of the earth itself. Internal reports describe the deep hum, a constant vibration produced by large-scale cooling systems in underground data centers. Project records confirm that QRCAVE data was used to select the optimal impact point for bunker buster munitions. The agency utilized synthetic aperture seismic imaging to create 3D maps of facilities based on reflected waves. A quote from a declassified 1985 operational summary: "The mountain does not hide the truth, it transmits it." End quote. QRCAVE technicians utilized borehole cameras to inspect the rock quality before placing sensors. The project maintained seismic quiet zones, protected areas of land where the agency prevented any industrial development to keep their sensors accurate. Documentation reveals the use of piezoelectric crystals to convert rock vibrations directly into electrical signals. The agency monitored the tidal deformation of the earth to see how heavy underground construction affected local gravity. Records show QRCAVE money was used to buy seismic damping materials to hide the agency's own secret facilities from foreign sensors. The project utilized remote data bursts where sensors would store data for a week and then transmit it in a high-speed signal to a passing satellite. Internal memos describe the use of environmental noise cancellation, subtracting the sound of the ocean or wind from the seismic record. A quote from a 2005 declassified intelligence briefing: "As long as the enemy breathes, the mountain will vibrate. We are listening to that breath." End quote. QRCAVE provided the trigger data for several covert entries into foreign military zones. The program used machine learning to identify the shift changes in secret factories based on the rhythmic increase in foot traffic. Documentation confirms that QRCAVE sensors were placed in abandoned mines throughout South America. The project utilized seismic interferometry to detect the minute cracks forming in bunker walls during constructions. Logs show that the agency tracked the mechanical resonance of Soviet ICBM silos to see if they were fueled or empty. The agency maintained a global bedrock map identifying the best rock types for long-distance sound conduction. Internal reports show QRCAVE funds were used to develop silent drills for agency use, based on what they learned from listening to others. The project used atmospheric pressure sensors to see if a bunker was drawing in fresh air or recirculating it. Records show that the CIA used QRCAVE to monitor the sub-ice movements of nuclear submarines in the Arctic. The program established listening posts in the deepest part of the Grand Canyon. The agency recorded the seismic scream of metal being cut deep underground, identifying the specific alloys being used for bunker doors. Technicians used hydraulic coupling to ensure their sensors had a perfect, airtight connection to the stone. The program intercepted the ground waves of secret underground radio transmissions that were leaking into the soil. CIA files show that QRCAVE utilized microseismic events, tiny man-made cracks, to map the internal layout of a facility. The project employed geophysicists to study how different types of granite filtered the sound of human speech. Operational logs confirmed the deployment of acoustic transducers that could generate counter vibrations to mask the sounds of friendly assets. The program identified the frequency of heavy water pumps in Iranian enrichment facilities from over 50 miles away. Records show that QRCAVE sensors were integrated into the foundations of specific hotels in Eastern Europe to monitor VIP bunkers below. Technicians developed a specialized drill that used a high-pressure water jet to create silent, deep sensor holes in basalt. The agency mapped the seismic bloom of underground explosions to determine the exact kiloton yield of illicit nuclear test. Memos describe the use of crystalline arrays that could detect the subtle magnetic shift caused by the movement of metal vaults. QRCAVE successfully tracked the movement of heavy rail-based missiles within mountain tunnels by the unique rail clatter vibrations. Project documentation reveals that specific mountain ranges in the Alps were used as calibration baselines for new sensor designs. When we dig into the declassified QRCAVE files, we encounter a silence as deep as the caverns themselves. For instance, some of the more profound redactions, the thickest layers of black ink, occur in the folder labeled Operational Appendic Seismic Gamma 9. This section holds the record for the most dense redactions regarding biological resonance monitoring in the entire technical archive. Entire chapters are blacked out where the agency describes the human seismic signature. Why is the ability to hear a heartbeat through a mountain still a top-tier secret? There is an enduring legend in the intelligence community about the voice of the stone. Some speculate that Gamma 9 details a method of heterodyning audio into the bedrock, essentially using the earth as a low-frequency speaker. The theory suggests that the agency didn't just listen, they projected voices or infrasonic frequencies into underground facilities to induce paranoia and auditory hallucinations in enemy personnel, effectively haunting them out of their bunkers. There is a chilling theory regarding the seismic gate ID. Observers of agency history suggest the redactions cover the ability to identify specific individuals by the unique rhythmic vibration of their heart valves in stride. Some people theorize that Smart City Foundation sensors are actually an updated QRCAVE network designed to monitor civilian movement through footfall seismology, tracking your heartbeat through the soles of your shoes. In the world of deep state whistleblowers, it's often whispered that the Gamma 9 redactions hide the lithic microphone breakthrough. This theory claims the agency can use laser interferometry to pick up the microscopic vibrations of rock walls caused by someone speaking in a room half a mile away. If true, it means the most secure bunkers on Earth are actually giant microphones, and the bedrock is the agency's most effective wiretap. Was QRCAVE a success? Tactically, it was a geological triumph. It achieved the primary objective of penetrating the most hardened facilities on the planet without a single operative crossing the threshold. Strategically, it was a foundation of modern intel. It proved that physical shielding is irrelevant if the medium of the Earth itself is compromised. The project was a success because it allowed the agency to monitor nuclear proliferation and command and control structures in real time. It successfully demonstrated that the most secret activities leave a physical pulse that can be indexed and analyzed. The program successfully birthed the modern persistent environmental intelligence doctrine. It was a success that fundamentally altered the way the agency views secure space. Furthermore, it proved that the planet's own natural features can be weaponized as a surveillance platform. The operation was a success because it made the impenetrable bunker an obsolete concept. It validated the idea that if you understand the physics of the environment, you can bypass any man-made wall. The operation was a success because it gave the agency the final verification for high-stakes diplomatic and military decisions. It successfully turned the ground beneath the enemy's feet into an informant. This success paved the way for the current global seismic monitoring network that functions with 100% reliability in the 2026 landscape. It turned the silence of the Earth into a library of hostile intent that can never be fully closed. The program's ultimate success lies in the fact that it made the very idea of an underground secret a contradiction in terms. Ultimately, QRCAVE was a success because it showed that even in the deepest cave, the agency is the one holding the lantern. As far as technological and operational breakthroughs go, the heart of the mountains led to quite a few, such as seismic footprint identification. The gate analysis of the 1970s evolved into smart floor security, where high-security buildings identify employees by the vibration of their footsteps. Low-frequency structural imaging, the echo pulse techniques led to current urban scanning, allowing engineers and intelligence services to map tunnels and sewers beneath a city without digging. Environmental noise filtering, the quiet zone algorithms are now used in advanced noise canceling audio, allowing for perfectly clear communication in the middle of a battlefield or a hurricane. And subsurface gravimetry. The void detection sensors developed for QRCAVE are used today in quantum gravity sensors to find hidden underground smuggling tunnels or illegal nuclear bunkers from a distance. QRCAVE reminds us that there's no such thing as a secret place in a world of total physics-based surveillance. In the modern day, when you stand on a quiet street or in the middle of a desert, remember the heart of the mountain. The agency understood long ago that the Earth is not a barrier, it is a conductor. You are living in a world where the very ground you stand on is a witness to your existence. The drip drip of the cavern is now the data stream of a global network, and the throb of the sensor is the heartbeat of a state that never sleeps. Every step you take is a signal, and every silence is just a frequency waiting to be decoded. We are all just transients on a planet that is recording our every move in the language of vibration. The mountain has eyes, and the stone has a memory that never fades. Even in the deepest silence, there is loudness if you have the right sensor. In the cold dark of the bedrock, the agency is always listening to the pulse of the world. Trust the ground to hold you, but never trust it to keep your secrets. Your weight upon the soil is an entry in a ledger that reaches down into the mantle. The planet itself has been drafted into the service of the watch. Thanks for listening. Stay grounded and remember, the earth remembers everything you do. Join us next time as we examine greystone. In the legal gray zones of international conflict, the agency turned to a new kind of soldier, one who doesn't wear a national uniform. We'll uncover the secrets of greystone, the clandestine program involving the use of private military contractors for high-stakes, deniable operations. This program, designated as a private force multiplication policy, proved that the most effective shadow is one you can buy. Join us next time for the sold shadow. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.